And the second thing I wanted to ask was more along the lines of the diet regimen or lifestyle that you've chosen. And I was wondering, I've realized this while being introspective after digesting these substances and smoking and whatever I've done, that I've come to the conclusion that, or at least the idea that stress manifests itself within like fat within a person, or at least myself, or it could even be like pain, muscle ache, things like that. I don't know, have you ever thought of that, or is that something that you've noticed?
You mean like in your fat cells?
Maybe not scientifically, but like I guess there'd be no real way to prove that, um
I just want to get clear on the question. So you're saying like that stress creates fat? Is that
yes, essentially, or like it just, I feel like because I like gained a decent amount of weight. I used to be really kind of unhealthily skinny. Like I was 6'4", like 175, and that was just too skinny.
uh-huh.
And then I gained weight and like flipped that coin, and I worked my way all the way up to like 290. And now I'm working my way down from that. And I've just been realizing as I've lost weight, it's like these different stressors are coming up while I meditate or do yoga. And I just deal with them in that moment. And then I'm able to release it instead of having it stored within me.
Oh,
And I
I
feel like there's
totally
something going
agree.
on there.
Yeah, and I can't say 100% positive, but I know that I've read things on fat being created by stress. Like our fat cells so what our body does when we eat is, I'll just relate it to eating, but when we eat toxic foods, which is stressful, is it sends it to
Mm-hmm.
the fat cells, because the fat cells are considered the outside of our body, because it wants to protect our organs and the things inside of us. So it sends it. If it doesn't know what to do with it, it's like, I'll process it later. I send it to the fat cells. And I think we do that with emotions. Like, I'll process that later. I'm going to send it to the fat cells. I'm stressed out. I can't deal with this right now. I'm going to send it to the fat cells. So, like, it's an energetic fat. I totally believe that. I mean, I've been able to gain 5 pounds in a couple days if I've been really stressed out. I'm like, what the heck just happened? Or if I
Mm-hmm.
go through something super stressful, like just a situation, I'm like, whoa. I think for women's bodies, we notice it a lot easier. But yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Stress can totally cause weight gain and fat storage.
Yeah. And I was talking to my girlfriend the other day. I was saying, I feel the most ideal situation as like with your human body is to have it so that it's just that constant machine of no excess, and the input output cycle, like no excess and just energy burned, output, and then now time for more input. And I feel like that would just be like the optimal uh, running, I guess.
Yeah, I feel that is optimal. And what I say too, like, I've done so much studying on the body and how everything works. And I think most of us are putting way too much, I'm going to use air quotes, fuel into our body.
Hmm.
People are so obsessed with getting enough protein, with getting enough this, with getting enough that. And it's like, think about a Ferrari. If you just keep driving it and driving it and putting more gas in and driving it and putting more oil and putting more gas, you're going to wear it out, even if it's a Ferrari and it's the most amazing car. If you treat it gently and you don't overfuel it, and you don't, I don't want to say overfuel because you can only fuel a car so much, but you know what I mean? If we don't, like for us, if we put a bunch in and then we go work out a bunch to burn it off, and then we put a bunch more in, and it's like, that's kind of a disorder as well. So I think it's just like
Hmm.
eating just the right amount, moving, even with exercise. I think people way overdo it. They stress their bodies out way too much. Like working out 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe maximum 45 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be 2 hours, because then you're like, oh, I'm so hungry. And then you eat twice as much. And they even have proven that people that run marathons and all that don't really lose any weight because they feel like they deserve a lot more food. And so it becomes that vicious cycle of eating and burning and eating and burning. So, like, what I've done is just limit my amount of food that I put in. And it's not in a deprivation way. It's just kind of like, I'm not like, you start to feel more satisfied when you're eating whole, real foods like salads and superfoods, which are things like green powders and protein powders and stuff. You just feel more satisfied than you do on junk food, because junk food's never ending. You just never are satisfied. It's like a bottomless
Hmm.
pit.
Yeah. And going off the car analogy, it's like we have to be sure that you're eating the right things. So if the car would be giving it diesel when it needs unleaded, or our bodies, junk food instead of whole foods.
Right. I mean, just look at what
Yeah.
the earth provided. If the earth made it, feel free to eat all you want, like apples and fruit and
Yeah.
vegetables, and like we get ourselves into trouble when it's the man-made food.
Yeah.
So the earth didn't make Cheetos.
Yeah, the earth didn't make
No.
orange dye number 7 either.
Yeah, I have a problem, with, because I'm a big guy too, and like if I, if I'm gonna eat, like I will have a tendency to overeat and eat too many calories, But I agree with you, like about too much fuel in the bodies, because like I think that's the thing. Like I think 3 meals a day is too much. Like I think people are too infatuated. Like you said, they were infatuated with like numbers and protein, how much protein, how much, carbs, all this stuff. I think people are too worried about like when to eat and your metabolism and stuff like that. And like I really dig the intermittent fasting, and that's what I try to do. I don't really like keep track of the window, but I'm like, I don't eat breakfast. I do drink coffee in the morning, but coffee and water is all I have until like the 2 rules I have for eating is like I don't eat until 1, and at some point between 1 and when I go to bed, I have to have like a big like kind of superfood salad that I put like beets and broccoli sprouts and like all these things that I've kind of like picked up from different health podcasts and stuff of like foods you need to eat. I'm like, if I have that for lunch or if I have that right before I go to bed, I have to get that in that window of 1 o'clock and bedtime. But by just having those 2 things where it's like, that's kind of simple to do, as long as you're not someone who wakes up like super hungry, the coffee gives me the energy to not like really worry about that. And, like I keep myself busy and I'm active as well, cause I'm working and I'm like walking around in the woods outside and stuff like that. And then if I can't make the salad or find a place to eat that or whatever, and I'm on the road, well, then I just eat like a Cliff Bar or something like that. And then I come home and I just like pound a huge salad. And then if for dinner, like if my boys want to go get cheeseburgers, I go get cheeseburgers with them, or whatever. Like I try to like make healthy stuff at home. But if it's like a late night that we got scouts or basketball and it's like tough to like plan what to eat and we just end up getting cheeseburgers, like I kind of justify that for the time being until I, further hone my skills at crafting and planning food throughout the week and adjusting it to schedules and stuff like that. I'm kind of mitigating the damage of those bad, hasty diet decisions,
I think that sounds really good. I mean, I do actually almost the exact same thing. I don't eat anything till 1 or 2, and I do have coffee, but I put fat in my coffee. I blend like coconut oil into it and medicinal mushrooms. I'm a mushroom lover of all kinds, like lion's mane and turkey tail. I don't know if you've heard of those things, but definitely you should look them up. They're brain food.
I'm growing both of them.
Oh, you are? Okay. So lion's mane is brain, like when your brain needs a hug. Yeah. And so, and then I do the same thing. Like I have at least one big green salad or some kind of raw food, superfood. It sounds like you're doing really good with that. Have you noticed a difference in like your mental balance in your body?
Oh yeah. And you know what I'll tell you, it has rejuvenating healing properties, like it's and it's a lot of it has to do with what you were saying at the start about inflammation, like I've significantly reduced my inflammation. I have a significantly less fat, well, maybe not even fat. I maybe have a pretty as high a fat diet as I've ever had. The difference is it's better fats and way less salt, and like instead of having French fries with 2 out of 3 meals of the day, or something like that, or a bag of chips every day for lunch or breakfast even, or whatever, it's like, I've just cut all that kind of out. And that's one of the biggest problems with, processed foods and snack foods is the salt content, that, and then if you're not drinking enough water, it's like this, you're kind of in a constant state of dehydration, and so many people kind of live that way. I live this lifestyle with like the guys I've worked with and like, outdoor tough construction type guys and stuff like that. Like like instead of coffee in the morning, they have 2 Mountain Dews. You know, like I've worked with a guy where every morning he got a bag of well, what are the little like pretzel things with the cheese in the middle? I can't think of the name. I don't know, but yeah, but
The
you know,
combos.
Yeah, he would get. I mean, it's 7 a.m. on the way to like working outside in like 100-degree heat all day. Would drink 2 20-ounce Mountain Dews and a bag of combos. You know,
It makes you wonder
and
how people
like
stay alive on that. Like, how are you functioning on that?
I don't know. Yeah, and I would be getting you know, a breakfast burrito because from a gas station breakfast burrito because I thought it sounded better than eating combos or whatever. But you know, it's like I don't know. I don't know if it was just age that like I was able to do that and it didn't seem to bother me. But you know, my late 20s, like my knees were like starting to give out and I was like super worried about that. And but that's definitely been a thing. Like my knees and my back were starting to really mess with me until I really started um paying attention to my holistic health, not just my diet, you know, just everything. Being aware and having a focus in my life of self improvement. You know, and that's been another big thing realization I've had this year